Hey everyone, we are live. This is Going Remote with Basecamp. Today I have Merissa and Chase from our support team. Hey, thanks for joining us. Appreciate
Sure.
you. We are going to take people's questions today, so you can ask us questions on the stream here. If you're on Twitch or Periscope or YouTube, we will see your questions. Also, you can ask via hashtag #AskBasecamp on Twitter. And we're going to do some showing you of how we do support today. I'm Andy DeRossi. I'm just here to help host and guide things along. So do we want to start off with a little primer on how we do support?
Sure. Merissa, you want to handle it?
Well,
not to throw you under the bus.
Chase and I have been on the Basecamp support team for 9 years. We're a couple of the most senior members. So we have been doing support for quite a while, and at Basecamp for a long time as well. So we've worked as a team and as remotely through different iterations of Basecamp and in different ways. Currently, our team obviously uses Basecamp 3, which is the most recent version of Basecamp. Our team is actually called Team OMG. Yes, Team OMG. Not like, oh my gosh, or oh my God, but for other reasons. But we are set up as a team inside of Basecamp, where we have our campfire, which is kind of where we all chat. We check in. I don't know, Chase, if maybe you want to show our screen. We use all of the Basecamp tools inside of our team, which are the tools right there that you see: Campfire, to-dos, scheduling, email forwards, docs and files, message board. Campfire is kind of where we check in for our day. So that's how we usually start in Basecamp. We kind of get caught up with anything that might be in our haystack up above there, and then we'll probably check into our Campfire, say good morning, anything that's going on right in there. Yeah, Chase, if you click on there, maybe you could say hello.
Hey, live streaming.
You see kind of just looking right there that we use BB60 or BB20 if we're taking a short break. We're going to be away from the computer to let everyone else on our team know kind of what we're up to if we're not immediately available. But we use Basecamp to run our support team. It's kind of I could spend an hour just in itself kind of like talking about how we use Basecamp. So maybe a more specific question, if anybody has one, about certain things, or if Chase, you want to hop in.
Yeah, I think the one thing that surprises folks when we talk about how we run support is that everything's in Basecamp outside of our interactions with customers. For that, we use Help Scout. They're absolutely fantastic. Handles email and live chat and all that good stuff. But everything from, messages out to our team or our daily schedules, or, you can even see like here what to do is like we're tracking when we're running crisis drills and that kind of thing. It all happens inside Basecamp, and that gives us one less place to check for everything, which means we don't end up missing the ball with our team, and especially not with our customers. So, yeah, it's one where it always surprises people. There's no Slack sitting on the aside or Asana or Trello or anything else. It's Basecamp. It's Help Scout for all of our customer work, and that's pretty much it.
Cool. One question we got in. Where did I see that? Oh, here we go. Daggery, I'm going to pronounce that poorly, but Daggery asks, how are you linking the support tickets and keeping track of them?
Yeah, so I think the biggest reason where we come in with the linking here is when we're tracking bugs. So customer says like, hey, this is going weird. We know it's something specific with Basecamp itself. So at that point, we need to loop in a programmer to take a look at it, or a designer to take a look at it, or anything like that. That all lives inside of our bugs project, aptly named in this kind of case. And a lot of times we'll go ahead and put in like what the issue is, who we think is best equipped to handle it. You can kind of see all this is waiting for triage here. Some stuff needs design, kind of just all sorts of stuff going on right through here. I was trying to think of one that I put in recently. Maybe this one has a no. Yeah, here's a good example. So James, so this was added by Jabari. we've got a problem with the Tricks keyboard in Windows and Chrome. We use the notes section of the to-do here to go through and talk about, okay, here's the summary of it. Here's our steps to reproduce, what we expected to happen, what actually happened, all that good stuff. And then we always make sure to link back to the Help Scout case, the original customer email that we got about this specific thing. So if we click on that, it'll open up in a new tab and show us exactly that where we talked to the customer that was having that problem. That's that right there. Perfect. Shout out to Jabari on this one. This is a perfect example of kind of, we've got a bug report from a customer. We need to make sure we keep track of it and kind of, once this is fixed, make sure to reach back out to the customer and close that loop on it. So we're going to put it in Basecamp to track it, to interact with Javon in this case, who is working on our desktop app, and making sure to leave that link down here in the notes. Help Scout does that. A lot of other apps do that too that I've worked with, whether it's Zendesk or Desk or any other big players in the customer support world. All of them should give you some kind of permalink back, and then you can share that in Basecamp in the notes or comments or whatnot.
Another great spot that's really important to Chase and myself is a project that we've named the Voice of the Customer, which is where we track feature requests from our customers, which are obviously special and important. They help Chase and I kind of gauge whether or not we're getting a bunch of requests for the same feature. We can add the same sort of link that you saw linked with the Help Scout link to a specific customer case with their thoughts and concerns. We might also reach out to them to kind of schedule a phone call to get more information behind why they need something. Here's kind of an example that Chase is walking you through there. There you see the Help Scout example where somebody's kind of talking about when they onboard a new team member, they're looking for something specific. Anyways, we use the same links in our Voice of the Customer project where we can stay on top of feature requests that our customers have, and hopefully some of them, a small handful of them, get added to a future release.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest, people talk about, again, closing the loop, right? So somebody drops us a feature request. The biggest thing is we want to find out exactly what's going on. So this Voice of the Customer project, we even wrote up, so this is for, you can see it goes back to 2017 here. This is what happens when we get a feature request. So everyone on our team is really clear. Look, you get a feature request email, or somebody says, hey, Basecamp, can you do this? And we can't, that kind of next step. We walk it through and kind of plot it out. Either we're going to do it, we might do it, we don't know if we're going to do it. And it gives our team kind of paths that they can follow at that point. And one of the big paths here is we don't know necessarily on every single feature request that we get if we're going to do it or not. So it says here's a good example. Hopefully this is a good example. Yeah. So here's a good example of it. It's, a customer was needing some flexible reminder times here. We made sure to put the Help Scout case link in. We put some extra information down here, like how long the customer's been with us, because somebody that's been using Basecamp for years is going to approach things differently than somebody that maybe might have just tried it for the first time this week. And then those kind of give us a good feel of what folks are thinking. And if we go into any of these and see lots and lots and lots of these kind of stories, we know this is something that we might be interested in, and we kind of walk through that feature request path a little bit further with them. All that to say, hopefully, DeGary, we answered that question there on the linking.
Totally. That was good. I got one that I really like from Alex. How do you deal with customers who are contacting you and are really angry or not nice? This is, I think, a perennial support challenge.
These are honestly my favorite type of customers, mainly because I love kind of proving them wrong and showing them that they're not going to have a bad support experience with us. Like, they might be coming into this email knowing that thinking that they have to act a certain way to get what they want. And that's not really even the case. If we're talking about like today's world and people being angry and upset, obviously there's a lot going on. Definitely when I read upset customers right now, I definitely know that it's them, it's not me. But I handle them in just the way that I would talking to somebody right now if somebody was angry. I just want to talk to you like you're a human. basically just treat somebody with respect. And I have had to say that to a customer before who was, really irate. I just kind of typed back to them like, hey, we're both human. Let's treat each other like, with respect. And I want to be an advocate for you. So, let's walk through this together. Let's talk through this together. So typically that works. If it doesn't, our team is amazing. We're always happy to perhaps receive a text or a ping or something inside of Basecamp if we need to take over a customer for somebody, basically. Maybe it needs, maybe the customer needs another voice. Maybe the customer needs a phone call, so we'll pick up the phone and call. There's all different types of ways that we kind of manage that, but mainly just staying calm is the number one thing in the email, kind of not letting what they're saying really get to you because it's likely something that they're dealing with, and they're having a rough time. So turning a frown upside down is something that I love to do.
Yeah, the story I like to tell all of our new hires. So a decade ago, right, when I first joined Basecamp, my previous job was with a deli in Nashville, Tennessee, and that we were kind of uniquely situated between 3 or 4 of the major hospitals there in Nashville. So when you have somebody coming into the deli, you never know what they're going through or what their day has been like or what their story is. So you might interact with people who are getting food to go and they get really mad at something being left out because they're trying to hurry back to the ICU or what family who happens to be up there. And I think that's the thing that sits at the back of my head whenever I'm talking to customers. We literally have no idea what their situation is at that moment. Like Merissa mentioned, especially in this kind of situation we're all in with the pandemic and all, you have no idea what that other person is going through. So we've got to give a little bit of space for folks that are angry and realize that they might have a lot of stuff going on, and we need to make sure that we don't give that back whenever we talk with them.
Yeah, and I think it's just important. It's okay for you to ask for help from your teammates. If you haven't even contacted this customer yet, but something just kind of hit you the wrong way when you're reading it, just ask if someone else can handle it for you. I think that's just a good thing to remember. It's okay to ask for help. If they hit something with you, like just pass them along and go to the next person. But I think showing grace to everyone right now is really important, and to yourself.
Oh, Andy, you went muted on us.
Hey. I said a nice thing about your response, and then it didn't get heard by everyone, by all 53 people. I said that was an awesome response, and I love that we handle grumpy people that way. What's our process for handling feedback? Can you show like our actual process, how we handle feedback?
Yeah, feedback's such a general word here. So we're going to go with, and if we get this completely wrong, just send us in another question and be like, no, you're wrong. Like, this is what I really meant. It's cool. We get it all the time. Yeah. So when we talk about feedback, usually it's a customer who is looking for Basecamp to do something that doesn't, right? So they want to give feedback on the product itself. With those, we showed the voice of the customer project, which is a really handy one for that. One of the things that Merissa and I have also been doing, and this is built upon some great work. Let's see, we're going to share the screen again, Andy, so we can kind of walk through this. One of the things that Merissa and I have been doing with Ryan from our team, who leads up the product side of things, is applying this idea of jobs to be done around feature request. So what we'll do is whenever we get that feedback coming in, that feature request coming in, we're going to dig in as much as we can on what specifically is going on. And now a lot of these names have been changed, so you don't have to worry about, who is this customer in this kind of case. But let's see. So we'll pick one. I should have prepped a good one on this one. Hopefully this one is a good one. Yeah, cool. So what we'll do is we'll jump on a call with a customer and basically ask them to put us in their shoes at the moment they send us that feedback. Because that moment that they sent us their feedback is when they ran into something that was at least annoying enough, if not frustrating enough, for them to take action on it. So when they reach out to us, we'll jump on a phone call with them and ask them to kind of walk us through what was going on. So you can see right here, this is a customer who wanted some due times on to-dos. So we know that in this case, they're a customer onboarding specialist, a telecom company. As we're walking through kind of what was going on, we're able to build this timeline. And that timeline tells us basically the situation, the job that Lindsay in this case was trying to get accomplished. So we kind of lay out this timeline from here, including the support request, along with that original feedback request. And we put it all into this product strategy folder. Not every feedback request is going to go through this kind of a process, because if somebody emails us and says something like, hey, I wish you did time tracking in Basecamp, that's awesome. Like, it's not something that we're going to do in the near future. So we're probably not going to jump on a phone call and do an in-depth dive as we're doing here around this to do due time. Also,
we're really honest about that, and we're going to tell you that we're not going to do that, and then offer you some suggestions, perhaps like a third-party tool that can integrate time tracking for you.
Yeah, exactly. Once we get this into Basecamp, this document, and you can kind of see, here's all my notes from the call, because sometimes it's helpful to go back and listen to like what the customer actually said around some of this stuff. So all these notes are what the customer verbatim said. And then down here at the bottom, you can kind of see a quick conversation between me and Ryan about this specific thing. So in this case, we're trying to figure out what's bad about having it in Outlook versus having it in Basecamp. Sometimes it's just a quick conversation between myself and Merissa, or Merissa and Ryan, that kind of thing. Here's a big one that looked like it had a lot of stuff going on. They wanted to see all the files in docs and files. So any file that is in the project, they wanted it to show up in docs and files somewhere. Same thing, we jumped on a phone call with them. We walked through and built this timeline around what they were actually trying to do at that moment. And then down here at the bottom, you kind of see Ryan bringing in Jason, one of our designers on core product here. And they kind of start having this conversation about, okay, like in theory, what could this look like? What might we do around something like that? And you can kind of see the conversation play out. Now, the cool thing with having all of this here in Basecamp is that the next time somebody reaches out with feedback around docs and files here, we can take their situation, their story, match it up with the one that we're seeing here, and find the similarities there. So sometimes it might seem like two completely different situations that we can then knock out with one design or one tweak or one whatever. But we won't know that until we actually jump on a phone call with them and talk with them and kind of find out what's going on. All of this started straight up with just with feedback, with a support feature request. So we're then able to take that, walk it through the process, keep it all in Basecamp, and that makes the product team, Ryan and the rest of them, their job, it makes it really easier for them when they're kind of laying out pitches and figuring out what to work on next in Basecamp.
Super cool. One I want to pop up is not even a question. It's Alex who says, in all honesty, the best customer support experience I've ever had was Basecamp.
Yes.
In a time of global pandemic, some compliments are not bad.
That's awesome. Alex, you're the best. Thank you.
High five. You're on Twitch too, which we have a new Twitch channel, so it's feeling good.
We appreciate that.
Here's a good one. Who hops on the call with the customer? Is it someone from the initial customer support team or someone on the product team?
Is this kind of a follow-up to like the feature question? Yeah. So typically that's usually Chase and myself. If the customer's okay with it, we'll record the call so that we have all of the reference points that we need there. And so Ryan, who again is on the product team, can listen in if he wants to take a crack at that too. Sometimes we all do them together. Sometimes it might be a 2-on-1. Somebody who on the support team who might be interested with the user path, like Chase and I are on, we might invite them to sit on a call with us at the customer as well. But for those specific feedback and feature requests where we're interested in knowing more, it's typically myself, Chase, and Ryan, or any combination of the three.
Yeah, it's a little bit like we call it being a support detective. This is one of those things where, just like in the real world, like you've got detectives who are really great at that job that would not be good at other things they might do. I love it. I haven't seen Inspector Gadget in so long. But yeah, like just in the real world where you might have detectives that are really good at that kind of job, but might be good at other jobs within the department. Same thing here. So some people are going to be really good and really interested in learning how these support feature request phone calls, how they go, how they work, the best way to pull information out of people. And then some people just don't have an interest in it. And that's totally cool. One of the good things with our team is we're like, what, Marissa, 15, 16 people, 17 people, something like
17 total, yeah.
17 total. There's enough variety of interest with all of us that some of us, like Marissa and myself, can focus on talking with customers with these feedbacks and feature requests, whereas somebody like Jabari or Chris or whatnot might be more interested in the more technical side of support, the fixing the bugs, the on-call stuff that goes around it, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's open to everybody that wants to do this kind of stuff, but practically speaking, we find a couple of people that are end up being interested in it, and we kind of let them take the lead on it.
Super cool. Here's one from Chris. How would you organize team members in different time zones who might be working on different projects? Would you keep them in the main support team or branch them out into different projects? Yeah,
since Merissa took the last one, I'll take this one. So, man, I feel like this is the classic support answer, right? It depends. On some of these projects are going to be big enough that they need their own project. And what I mean by that, we'll pull it up on the screen again. Where is our helps? Here we go. Here's our help site. So our help site, this is the project we have set up to tackle all of our help documentation. And you can kind of see this is basically focused on to-dos here. So we've got lots of to-do lists going on, usually broken down by app, right? So like here's the Basecamp 3 ones, Basecamp 2, Basecamp Classic. In this case, this is big enough of a support project that it needs its own dedicated space. So it doesn't matter what time zone that the folks are working on in here, they've got their own space set up on that kind of thing. Sometimes you run into things that, so we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Crisis drills is a good example. Everybody on the team will lead a crisis drill at least 1 month for the next, let's see, so this goes up through the fall of 2020. This is going to cut across all time zones. So you're going to have folks like Jim, who lives in the UK, that's responsible for them in February. He's going to be giving myself and Merissa and the rest of us over here in the central time zone our crisis drill. In this case, this is a very small project, right? It's really focused on him. It's really focused on making sure the crisis drills get done that month. It only needs a to-do here. So we're keeping this inside of the overall Team OMG space there. So yeah, it's like I said, the classic support answer, right? It depends. We usually judge spinning out a new project based on how big is that going to be versus who's in what time zone and working on the specific thing.
Yeah, so at Basecamp, we're managers of one, and we trust everybody on our team, and we know that no matter what time zone they're in or what time they're working, that they're working on the work that they should be working on, wherever they are.
Is this a good chance to show the schedules that you create?
Yes, because you need to see Marissa's fantastic schedules. Now,
so mention that we have 17 folks on our support team, which can get kind of messy if you show like our event schedule first. So in each team or project, you have a regular schedule inside of there, which is where our team will put kind of basic things that you see now, like maybe an out day, maybe times when we take a call for with a customer, maybe somebody has an appointment, like you see there. Little things are added onto our schedule here, and it would be kind of a lot to see per day if we put people's individual shift times or days on there. It would kind of fill up quickly. So instead of that, we use a Basecamp doc in the docs and files section, and we also use the Sling app, which is that PDF that you see right there. The Sling app just kind of allows me to put everybody's own individual time, so you see what everybody's working individually there, and how many people we have working that particular day. And then underneath of that, I might put some scheduling for folks that are doing our live chat and answering some different types of emails. And then another little section that's easier to see who might be out a specific date and time, and then notes for the weeks. There were obviously a lot going on that week. And then what's coming up next week. So this is a great spot for everyone on our support team to just kind of take a peek at. There I am as a member of cheer. I'm not going to Daytona because I didn't make Matt. But I usually put something goofy there, maybe a fun quote for everyone. And then our team uses comments underneath this doc if anything changes, which of course, we're all human, it does. Maybe somebody ends up being sick. They'll know that they're sick and they're going to be out then. Maybe they have an appointment, so they're going to be out for a few hours in a day. Whatever any changes might happen for that particular week will be underneath the document there. But this is where our team goes to take every week. I put them out Thursday mornings, so everybody can go and take a peek at the week to come right there. There I am again, telling everyone they're awesome. I love to use jib jabs. I think they're fun. Sometimes I put different members of our team in them. Sometimes my dog makes a cameo.
I was trying to find Benny's, and I don't remember what day it was on.
He might be in that picture of February.
There we go.
There he is. He's a cupcake there. But anyways, that's a really great spot, the docs and the files section, to add things like this and just have it as a reference for anybody on the team there.
Awesome. I want to be in a jib jab one day. Can I be in a jib jab one day?
Yes.
Can you take a screenshot of my face?
Yeah. All I got to do is send a picture, and then I'm good.
Done deal. Cool. Here's a, kind of open-ended one. It's tough right now. Life is hard. What's something you could tell support specialists around the world?
Yeah, I think we were talking earlier about grace and space, right? So making sure that when you're talking with your customers, that you've got just a little bit more flexibility than usual. If you're like us, the last couple of weeks, we've heard from lots of small business owners who predominantly use the app that they're running into problems with, cash flow, or their revenues are done for the next couple of months, and they're kind of scrambling to figure out what to do now. That all that comes across in the email, and we want to make sure that when we're talking with them, that we've got just the flexibility and understanding, that empathy to work with them as best as we can. And we talk about that grace and space, you got to give it to yourself too, because one of the things, if you're reading email after email after email like that, if you're talking to just customer after customer like that, we are an empathetic bunch. You tend to be pretty empathetic if you get hired on with our Basecamp support team. And so it's easy to take on all of that. So you got to make sure that that you're making that space and taking that grace for yourself too. Just being able to step aside for a little bit, realizing that the rest of our team has your back. That's the biggest thing I would tell support specialists right now is give your customers that grace and space, give yourself the same thing, and realize that it's just not going to be normal for a little bit. And that's okay. That's just part of being flexible in all of this.
Yeah, I think you can just give your best and do your best each day, and it doesn't matter if that changes. Like, your best one day might be totally different than another day. Just take it a day at a time, do the best that you can, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to say that you need to take a break. Maybe you need to do some jumping jacks or like something in another room. Maybe you need to say hi to a dog and go pet a sleeping dog over there. Try to remember to do little things for yourself. It's kind of, Chase mentioned grace and space, but it's also like the whole airplane thing. Like, you can't give oxygen to the people around you unless you put the mask on your face first. So be good to yourself. Hydrate. That's also very key. And remember that it's okay to go slower right now if you need to go slower. If you're not at your normal pace and your normal speed and feeling like you can do all that, that's totally okay. So yeah, show yourself grace. And just be kind to one another.
I think we should all absorb that, even if we're not on support. even if maybe we're on marketing.
You got all the space you need, Andy.
I realized my hat was way too tight, so I took it off. See, grace and space.
And your hair looks great.
Thank you. Here's a good one. Any tips or tricks for helping onboard new folks into customer support? One thing that's kind of tricky is scaling product knowledge out to new people, especially since we're remote.
Yeah, Merissa is the queen of hiring and training, so I'm going to let her.
I'm really good at interviewing. I usually play a part in that process, but over the last 9 years, this question, I mean, the answer has vastly changed. When I started at Basecamp, it was just here's your computer and here's the tools that we use at this time, and just try to start answering these emails from customers, and like we'll let you know if you're right. If you're not, like don't fix it and then kind of move on. So as you can imagine, the sink or swim method that we originally used has changed 9 years later, thank goodness. So we've had folks on our support team actually create some really great documentation for that. I realize like doing that right now might be difficult if you have a higher support load, but when you do have downtime or time to do that, you might start creating like some project templates, which is where we house like a new hire template that has all of these different guides and manuals that explain each one of our tools that we use, like Help Scout. There's probably a short video or some GIFs in there that show exactly what we do. We have some docs. We use Basecamp docs. Again, everything that Chase mentioned is in Basecamp for this person. But we have different docs that maybe explain our company culture and our team's culture and all kinds of things. Everything that we use, we've kind of set up into mini guides that live inside of a template. So when somebody joins, we can, create a project that's like, welcome Merissa, and everything lives in there. And so their first, few weeks, couple weeks, they spend time going through those manuals and those guides to learn the different tools that our team use. And I do agree, it is difficult scaling that type of knowledge out to new people. We often forget, folks that have been here for a while, like Chase and I have, that we know something that somebody might not, and that might not actually be anywhere inside of Basecamp. It's just we might tell somebody that, and everyone's like, oh, wow, I never knew that. So we try to share knowledge whenever we have it in our campfire as well. That way, because in Basecamp, you can search. Maybe you want to search about a certain thing that you weren't sure of, like a customer had a question like, is there time tracking? And so maybe you can't find that answer somewhere. So you could search time tracking, and maybe that comes up right in our campfire where we talked about it like a month ago, but maybe that person wasn't there. So kind of keeping everything in one central place is great. And then when you have time, just start creating those manuals, that knowledge base that you'll be able to use eventually. If not, if you don't have time for that, find out what works best for your customer support person. Do they learn better visually? Do they learn better just like reading? Is it better if you hop on a video call to explain something and share their screen? Things like that. That's what I would say. Chase?
Yeah, and Andy, so we'll pull up so folks can see that template that Merissa was talking about. This is the power. Jason and David talk about it a lot, right? The power of asynchronous, the power of having it written down so that if your entire support team happens to be on an airplane with no Wi-Fi, that if somebody runs into a problem with a customer on the ground, then they're cool. Like they have a resource available for them. So Merissa mentioned that template. This is exactly what it looks like. We walk through and use the docs and files here to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So you can see different training links in here, simple information around like where our hotel is and what Chicago looks like all that kind of stuff. And all these link back over to a bigger project that we have called Resources and Training. And we can, let's see, we'll dive into one of these training modules. Let's see, what's a good, we'll start here. So this is one of the resources that we've set up. Ashley updated it last on this one. Just talking about, all right, so here are in this case, web fundamentals and Basecamp. So we walk through and we talk about how things work with web clients and servers, how browsers work, how HTML works, how data in general works, and then we give some links to some of the resources that's really helpful here. This allows somebody to basically learn at their own pace, right? So somebody that really wants to devour information like this is going to be able to go directly to this, this doc in this case, find everything right there for them, and then start absorbing that information and figuring things out. So that's the biggest when it comes to kind of expanding this out and scaling your support team. Document everything, write everything down, put it in that one place that everyone can get to, because this is going to be a big resource for the new folks that you hire.
And know that even if you are busy right now with support emails, that this is just as important. So even if you can schedule one person to maybe start working on that, it's going to be very valuable for you, because it's going to help your new folks in the future.
Yeah, and seriously, like we talk about like writing everything down, everything. So like one of the things, I was working the discount queue this morning, and I remember there being some discounts around the COVID outbreak that's going on, and you can see, so like here's Chris asking a question about it. We scroll down a little bit and you can see like it's part of the current discounts that we're running, so we can see exactly what the details on this one are. Some kind of stock replies that we can use for customers to help out when we're working through these. So, I mean, this is something that, again, you don't think about it in the moment, right? It's like, oh, like we're going to start offering a discount for this kind of thing. Document it. Go ahead and write it down. Put it in a place where everyone can get to, because you never know. Somebody like me will come in on a Friday and go, what were we doing with that program again? How much was it? Like, what did we do with it? You just write everything down, and then kind of we like to joke about it, but like if it's not in Basecamp, it didn't happen. So write it down and get it in Basecamp. That's the biggest advantage you're going to have as you start, growing your support team.
Cool. Very, very cool. Let's take one more. You talked a little bit about connecting different product feedback stories previously. What does that connection look like in Basecamp? Can you tag them in various ways?
Yeah. So there are some very, very, very loose groupings here. We'll go back to that product strategy Basecamp over here so you can kind of see it in here, right? So you can see there are some very loose groupings around recurring to-dos, for instance, right? Recurring to-dos are one of those things where it is that the solution seems simple, right? Just like add a recurring option in Basecamp. The stories that you have to cover with it are really wide and really varied. So we've got right here 8 different people that we talked to about this specific thing. And in that, we've got 8 different stories that are coming out that all gives us a little bit of a glimpse of the real problem going on that all these folks share, right? So there's some very loose groupings here. You'll see a lot of this like are just kind of hanging out on their own. Here's somebody wanted something with completed to-do lists. Here's somebody that wanted some better notification options. They're not really heavily grouped or anything like that, because frankly, when you get to this stage, we pretty well know like what's going on, who we've talked to, what they've been thinking about. So there's not a lot of like, it's a lot, I was trying to think of the best way to put it. It's a lot of, if it keeps bubbling up, if customers keep bringing up, you're going to know it. You're going to hear it constantly. So for us anyways, we don't worry a bunch about tagging or linking or really like doing a bunch of grouping around this stuff. It's more get into the Basecamp, because you never know that when you might be talking to somebody about to-do times, that the problem they're trying to solve might come over here into custom reminders. And you want to have that flexibility to just happen upon connections like that, rather than trying to force these into their own groupings and their own tags. Again, standard support answer, right? Like your mileage may vary. You might do it differently. This is just kind of how we do it and what works for us.
Can we close out with your favorite glossary terms from the support glossary? Can you do that for me?
Let me find it. We were talking about it earlier, and it's
so to just give a backstory. Basecamp does what we call EOS, everyone on support. So everyone at Basecamp does a day on support every so often. And we actually, Lexi, I believe it was Lexi that started this glossary. If it wasn't, I'm really sorry to who did on our team, but they created this glossary to kind of show others on the on our whole Basecamp team, kind of how we communicate in our team OMG, because the person that's on EOS joins our team and they kind of hang out in our campfire all day. And sometimes we kind of say weird and wonky things and they may not know what that means. So Lexi created this glossary for them. Lexi and James, it might be James too, created this great glossary that they can kind of reference like, hey, what in the heck are they saying? So without further ado.
I was gonna say, Merissa, which one's your favorite?
Well, I do love Joan, the first one at the top being the hydration doula. Joan reminds our team all the time to hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. We actually have a little item that pops up in our campfire when she needs to remind us to hydrate. Definitely It's Just Sandwiches might be my favorite because Chase worked at the deli prior to working at Basecamp. He always used to just like say that. He says that for anything that's a big deal, and that's great. Like, it's a good reminder that's like, hey, like, we're doing support work, which is important and great for Basecamp, but we're not performing heart surgery or something like that. Like, it's just sandwiches.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I'm biased, of course, but I need a T-shirt with it on it or something like that. But it literally, like, I remember one of the managers I used to work with would get so frazzled and just like the anxiety would be so overwhelming for them when they were trying to put together, different orders that were going out the door, catering orders and that kind of thing. And you just got to stop and go, look, dude, it really is just sandwiches. Like, if we forget a sandwich, nobody's going to die. Everything's going to be fine. Like, we can get that sandwich to them later. Or if you forget napkins or whatever, it's, this is not the end of the world. Like, it's just sandwiches at the end of the day.
You'll notice some plays down there if you are currently using Basecamp, which we love you if you are, and you didn't know that you can play certain sounds in Campfire, go ahead and give that a shot. Hey Girl is Tony's entrance. When he starts his shift, he plays that every day. Everyone knows that he's logging on.
I was gonna say, I just heard it. I knew it. I heard it in my headphones. I was like, somebody is playing something right now. That is, yeah. So that one is, there's the play honk, all that kind of thing.
Honk is really fun. I like to use that one when I'm signing off for the day. Everybody kind of knows. The push it used to be my favorite one years ago. That was probably my favorite sound. And then some folks made Play Flawless for me because, who doesn't love Beyonce? That was my favorite. So that was a special little play. If you can hear that going on, that's a fave as well.
Yeah.
Is that from Price is Right? Is that the little guy going?
Yeah, but originally it was something else, I'm sure. But the yodel one, yeah.
All I hear it is in my headphones now, and everyone on the Twitch stream is like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh, we can hear it.
Oh, God.
I don't know how, but we can.
Oh, this is something. It is something. Yeah, it's the little guy like in the strappers and the German outfit and like.
You don't want to go over.
You don't want to go over. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, all of these things in these plays are all things that help you keep your support team and your team in general like together and close knit, even while you work remotely. I mean, our team campfire is basically kind of our water cooler too. Like, this is what we do. It's how we say hi. It's how we greet each other. We can, when things are kind of hard or rough, like playing those little tunes and having, maybe throwing some gifts in our campfire are just little things that we can do to try to keep it mellow. Keep it calm.
Cool. I think that's it. We're almost to 45 minutes. I really appreciate you all joining the stream. Thanks, Chase and Merissa.
Of course, that's what we're here for.
Having us. And also, I appreciate you. I think that's something else that we can all say to each other. Like, I appreciate you. So Chase and Andy, I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone that joined us today and asked questions.
Yeah, it was good. We'll see y'all on the next one. This recording will be up on YouTube and Twitter and Twitch in case you want to watch it later. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.
Hey.
Bye.
Benny.